My eye stalks retracted halfway into my shell before I even realized what the scanner was showing me, and that is not a good sign. When you've worked security at Terminus 9 for 6 cycles, you learn to trust your physiological responses before your conscious mind catches up. The display flickered red, and I felt my shell darken from orange to that deep crimson that always made the other technicians nervous. Problem Kyrix, Araxis, stood 3 booths down, processing a Gellan trader who was arguing about the confiscation limits on combustible liquids. Her 2 black eyes didn't even glance my direction, but somehow she always knew. "Scanner, malfunction," I said, and my mouthparts clicked 3 times in rapid succession, which meant I was either lying or anxious or both, flagging a false positive. "Reset it." I was already reaching for the diagnostic panel with my right arm, while my left steadied myself against the booth console. Terminus 9 wasn't the most prestigious posting in the hegemony security network, but it was steady work, and the scanners were updated regularly. We floated near the Caldris asteroid fields, which meant mining, traffic and cargo haulers, and the occasional geological surveyor. Most of them were regulars. I knew the Gellan captains by their ship signatures, and the Vrix miners by their complaints about our coffee analogues. The scanner reset with a soft chime and the arch powered down, then cycled back up, bathing the checkpoint in that pale blue detection field. "Next," I called, and tried to sound professional instead of rattled. The human walked forward and smiled at me. I had seen humans before, of course. Terminus 9 processed 17 species on a regular basis, and humans had been part of the galactic community for almost 8 standard years. They were odd-looking, with their soft skin and bilateral symmetry, and those unsettling forward-facing eyes that suggested predator evolution. But they were polite enough. This one was female, I thought, based on the briefing materials, and she wore practical clothing that looked designed for industrial work. Cargo pants in a dark grey and a jacket with multiple pockets. A tool belt hung at her waist, and she carried a battered case in her right hand. "Morning," she said, and her voice had that friendly, casual tone humans seem to use for everything from greetings to funeral rites. "Beautiful day for asteroid adjacency, am I right?" I blinked both eye stalks independently, which was the crustacean equivalent of a confused stare. There was no day or night on a space station, and beauty was not typically associated with our grey industrial corridors. "Please proceed through the scanner," I managed. She walked into the arch, still smiling, and stood in the designated position, her arms spread slightly from her sides in the standard scanning pose behind her. I could see the main concourse where other travelers waited, a Methix family with their crystalline children who refracted the corridor lights into rainbow patterns, an insectoid, Vrin merchant, whose antennae twitched as he reviewed his datapad, and 2 reptilian Korathi in matching uniforms, likely ship crew. The scanner hummed. The display lit up, like a threat board on a warship. Every section of the human skeletal structure glowed angry red on my screen. Her arms flagged as reinforced, striking implements, her legs as impact weapons, her ribcage as defensive, plating her spine as a segmented, flexible armor core, and her skull registered as a calcium-based battering ram, my tail tucked completely under my shell. I said, which was not protocol but seemed appropriate. "Please remain still." The human, Erin, according to the ID transponder. My scanner had already processed, looked down at herself, then back at me. Something wrong. Everything was wrong. The scanner had just identified this cheerful, unarmed mining consultant as a walking arsenal. One moment, I tapped the diagnostic sequence again, my mouthparts clicking so rapidly they sounded like a shuttle engine misfiring. The scanner reset, performed a self-check, and reported all systems functioning normally. I ran the scan again. Same results. Every bone in her body glowed red on the threat display. The system helpfully labeled them calcium phosphate composite density, 1.85 grams per cubic centimeter, Compressive strength, 170 megapascals. Tensile strength, 130 megapascals, equivalent to grade 7 military structural reinforcement. I felt my shell darken another shade. Araxis, I said quietly. Still, here, she had finished with the Gellan trader and was watching me, with those glossy black eyes that never seemed to blink. Her body hairs lay flat against her exoskeleton in a relaxed state. I need you to look at this. She moved with that disturbing fluid grace that arachnids had, her two legs carrying her across the space between our booths. In complete silence, she leaned over my console and studied the display. Her chelicerae folded tight against her face. The human waved from inside the scanner. "Hi, there I am, Erin, equipment consultant for Kerrigan Mining. Should I step out, or—" "Remain in the scanner, please," Araxis said, without looking up. Her voice had that flat quality that made it impossible to tell if she was concerned, or bored, or contemplating lunch. "Kyrix run a level 3 scan." "That's military grade," I protested. "I know what it is." I initiated the level 3 protocol, which required supervisory approval, and Araxis provided her biometric signature. The scanner arch shifted colors from blue to deep violet, and a low hum vibrated through the deck plating. This was the FAST, a kind of scan we used for suspected weapons smugglers or known hostiles. Erin looked around with interest. "Oh, fancy. Is this the deluxe security experience? Do I get a certificate?" The scan completed. The results were worse. Not only did the system flag her skeleton as weapons-grade material, but it now included detailed analysis of her muscle structure, which apparently had enough tensile strength to qualify as hydraulic enhancement systems. Her circulatory system registered as a pressurized delivery mechanism for combat stimulants, and her digestive tract showed signs of being able to process toxic substances that would kill most species. "Okay," Araxis said slowly, which was the most emotion I'd ever heard in her voice. "That's new." Avrix, Minor, in line behind Erin, shuffled forward, his rocky silicon-based body scraping against the floor. "This, taking long. I have shift, start in 20 minutes. Alternative checkpoint." Araxis pointed with her left arm, booth 7. The Vrix grumbled but moved off. The Methix family followed, looking relieved to avoid whatever drama was unfolding at my station. I stared at the display, then at Erin, then back at the display. "The scanner thinks she's made of weapons." "The scanner doesn't think anything," Araxis replied. "It measures and reports. Then it's broken 3 different ways." "Or," Araxis said, and her body hairs began to rise slightly, creating that silvery shimmer that meant she was processing something disturbing. "It's working fine." Erin knocked on the scanner arch. "Hey, not to be that person, but I've got a meeting in Bay 12, and my boss gets weird about punctuality. Should I come back later, or—" "Stay there," I said, and my mouth parts were clicking like a percussion instrument. "Please, just stay exactly there." "No problem." She leaned against the arch casually, which made the structural integrity sensors spike, because apparently even her relaxed posture registered as potential kinetic threat. Araxis pulled up the human database on my console, her 2 arms moving across the controls with practiced efficiency. Humans were cleared for general travel after the standard biological and cultural compatibility assessments. Maybe the assessments missed something. The assessments are performed by the Hegemony Science Council. They don't miss things. Then, why I? It's my scanner having a catastrophic disagreement with reality. Araxis tilted her head, which made her chelicerae shift slightly. "Let's try a different scanner." We moved Erin to booth 4, which had been recalibrated that morning. She walked cheerfully beside us, commenting on the station's architecture. "Very industrial, chic. Love what you've done with the exposed conduits, really, says we know. Where our air comes from." The Methix children watched us pass, and their crystalline bodies dimmed slightly in what might have been concern or confusion. Booth 4 had the same results. Booth 7, which was our oldest and most conservative scanner, also flagged Erin's entire skeleton as prohibited weaponry. A Karathi security officer passing by saw the displays, and his scales shifted to an alarmed yellow containment breach. "No breach," Araxis said firmly. "Scanner calibration issue. That looks like a biological weapon reading." "It's being handled. Go patrol Section 9. I heard some Vrin merchants arguing about docking fees." The Karathi left, but not before his forked tongue flicked out nervously in Erin's direction. Erin herself seemed completely unbothered by the growing crowd of security personnel or the increasingly frantic diagnostic tests I was running. She sat on a bench near booth 7, swinging her legs and reading something on her datapad. Kyrix Araxis stood very still, which was somehow more threatening than any aggressive posture. "I need you to consider a possibility." "What possibility?" "That the scanners are working correctly." My eye stalks retro. "Acted fully into my shell, no. The readings are consistent across 4 different systems." "Then all 4 systems have the same malfunction, maybe a software update or cosmic radiation, or humans are structurally composed of materials that our security systems classify as weapons grade." I looked at Erin, who was now humming something while she scrolled through her datapad. She looked harmless, friendly. Even her soft skin and lack of natural armor made her seem fragile compared to most species on the station. "That doesn't make sense," I said. "She's a mining consultant, not a soldier. Look at her. She's eating something from her pocket." We both watched as Erin pulled out some kind of pressed bar and bit into it. Her jaw muscles contracted and her teeth, which the scanner had flagged as calcium-based cutting implements, sheared through the bar with ease. "What is that?" I asked. Araxis checked the database. "Human nutritional supplement. They need to consume it regularly to maintain their calcium phosphate skeletal density. They eat their skeleton material. Apparently." I felt my shell darken to the deepest crimson it could reach. "I need to call medical." "Good idea," Araxis said, "because we're going to need a xenobiologist to explain this. And I don't want to be the one who approves a walking weapon through security based on vibes." I opened the comms channel to the station medical laboratory and waited for the triage coordinator to respond. While I waited, I watched Erin finish her nutritional bar and crumple the wrapper. She looked around for a disposal unit, spotted one near the far wall and stood up. Then she threw the wrapper, not walked over to throw it. Threw it from 15 meters away. The crumpled wrapper arced through the air in a perfect parabola and dropped directly into the disposal unit. Erin sat back down, looking pleased with herself. "Did you see that?" I whispered to Araxis. "Trajectory calculation, muscle control, spatial awareness," Araxis replied, and her body hairs were now fully raised, creating a silvery halo around her exoskeleton. "Yes, I saw it. That's not normal. For us. No, for humans." She pulled up more database files. "Apparently it's considered a casual gesture. They call it throwing away trash. They have the muscle control and spatial processing to calculate ballistic trajectories as a casual gesture." It would appear so. The medical channel opened, and Dr. Kellis, a sympathetic Vrin with excellent credentials, appeared on screen. "Security. What is the nature of your medical emergency?" "We need a xenobiologist," I said immediately. "For what species?" "Human." Dr. Kellis' antennae perked up with interest. "Oh, how interesting. We rarely get human patients. They're very durable. What's the issue?" "That's the issue." Araxis leaned into frame. "Define durable." "Well, their cellular regeneration rate is quite impressive, and their immune systems are remarkably aggressive, and their skeletal structure is primarily calcium phosphate composite, which is weapons grade." I finished. "Their skeletons are weapons grade." Dr. Kellis chittered, which was the Vrin equivalent of laughed. Oh, that's a delightful way to phrase it. Yes, I suppose from a materials engineering perspective, human bones do have compressive and tensile strengths comparable to manufactured military composites, but that's simply how they evolved. They evolved to be made of weapon materials. They evolved on a high-gravity world with significant physical dangers. Their skeletal structure needed to be robust. Araxis and I looked at each other. How robust? Araxis asked. Well, a human femur can withstand approximately 4 times their body weight in compressive force, and their skull can resist impacts that would shatter most species. Cranial structures and their teeth are continuously replaced root structures embedded in jawbone, designed for shearing and— Thank you, Doctor, I said quickly before my shell could darken any further. So to confirm, our scanners are correctly identifying human skeletal structure as comparable to military-grade materials. Oh yes, absolutely, but that's normal for humans, they're all like that. The channel closed. I looked at Erin, who was now chatting with a passing Gellan merchant about mining equipment prices. She gestured with her hands while she talked, and I found myself cataloguing her movements as potential strike patterns. All of them, I said. Every human is like this. According to our database, there are approximately 42 billion humans in their home system, Araxis replied, and they've colonized 6 additional planets. 42 billion walking weapons, who seem very friendly and are primarily interested in trade and cultural exchange. I felt my mouthparts click in a rhythm that had no name because I had never been this confused before. What do we do? Araxis was silent for a long moment, her glossy black eyes fixed on Erin. Then she straightened, and her body hairs slowly settled back into their resting position. We call Commander Torvis and let someone with a higher pay grade make this decision. You're the supervisor, and I am smart enough to know when to escalate Kyrix. This is not a scanner malfunction or a smuggling attempt. This is a first contact protocol issue that somehow got missed 8 years ago. She was right, of course. But I didn't want her to be right, because that meant accepting that the friendly human sitting on the bench was structurally composed of materials that would be illegal to import in any manufactured form. I opened the command channel and requested an immediate consultation with Commander Torvis. Erin looked up from her datapad and waved at us. Hey, sorry to bug you, but do you have an estimate on timing? Because I can reschedule my meeting if this is going to be a while. Please remain in the secured area, Araxis said. No problem, Erin smiled. Take your time. My eye stalks watched her carefully, looking for any sign of threat or aggression, but she just sat there peacefully reading her datapad and occasionally adjusting the tool belt at her waist. Each tool clipped to that belt had been scanned and cleared as non-threatening, but the person wearing the belt was flagged as a skeletal weapon system. Commander Torvis appeared on my screen, his grayish diplomatic face showing the kind of exhaustion that came from managing a frontier station. This better be important. I have 3 budget meetings today. So we have a situation with the weapons scanner, I began. Is it broken? No, sir. That's the problem. It's working perfectly. Commander Torvis blinked slowly. In that way, species with eyelids did when they were trying to process information that contradicted their understanding of reality. Explain how a working scanner is a problem. Araxis stepped into frame beside me. Sir, we scanned a human for standard security clearance, and the system flagged her entire skeletal structure as weapons-grade material. So override it and send her through. We're not in the business of confiscating bones. We ran 4 separate scans on different systems, I added, and my mouthparts clicked nervously. All returned identical results. Medical confirms that human skeletal composition is genuinely comparable to military structural materials. The commander was quiet for 3 seconds, which felt like an eternity. You're telling me that humans, the species we approved for general travel 8 years ago, are made of weapons? Their bones specifically? Yes, sir. And medical knows about this. Medical says it's normal for them, sir, Araxis said, something about high-gravity evolution. Commander Torvis rubbed what might have been his temples, though his species anatomy made it hard to tell. Where is the human now? Secured area near checkpoint Gamma 7. I gestured with my left arm toward where Erin sat. She's been very cooperative. Of course she has, the commander muttered. Bring her to Medical Analysis Bay 3 and get me a full Xenobiological workup. I want to know exactly what we're dealing with. The channel closed. Araxis looked at me. You're escorting her. Why me? Because you found the problem. She turned back toward her booth. Try not to panic visibly. I approached Erin with both arms held in a non-threatening position. Ma'am, we need you to come with us for additional screening. Erin looked up and her face did something complicated that might have been concern. Am I in trouble? No, just additional scans. Oh, okay, sure. She stood and adjusted her tool belt. Does this happen a lot? No, I said honestly. This has never happened before. Cool, so I am special, she grinned. And I tried very hard not to think about her teeth being classified as shearing implements. Lead the way. We walked through the main concourse and I was acutely aware of every species. We passed a group of Methics traders whose crystalline bodies chimed softly, a Vryn cargo hauler who nodded politely, 2 Korathi security officers who tracked her movement with their heat-sensing vision. None of them knew what the scanners had found. So how long have you worked here? Erin asked. 6 cycles. You like it? It's steady work. My eye stalks swiveled to check behind us. The mining traffic keeps things busy. Oh yeah. I bet I am here to consult on new drilling equipment for the deeper asteroids. She gestured enthusiastically with her right arm. The mineral deposits out here are incredible. We reached Medical Analysis Bay 3 and the door slid open. Dr. Kellis waited inside along with 2 other medical staff, a crystalline Queller specialist whose body reflected the sterile white light, and a reptilian Sorothai physician whose scales were pale blue. Ah, wonderful, Dr. Kellis chittered, and his antennae bobbed enthusiastically. Our human subject, please come in. Erin walked in without hesitation. Hi, I am Erin. I apparently triggered some scanner situation. Yes, very exciting, Dr. Kellis gestured toward an examination platform. We rarely get to perform detailed human scans. Would you mind standing on the platform? Not at all. Erin stepped up. Should I take off my jacket or? No need, our scanners work through clothing. The Queller specialist moved to a control console. This will take approximately 6 minutes. Please remain still. You got it. The scanning field activated and Erin's body was outlined in soft green light, while displays around the room filled with data. I stood near the door watching the information populate. Dr. Kellis studied the incoming data with obvious fascination. Remarkable, look at the bone density. Is that bad? Erin called from the platform. Oh no, not bad. Simply impressive. Your skeletal structure shows optimization for high-impact resistance. I mean, I do yoga. Does that help? The Sorathi physician made a sound like escaping steam. I don't think yoga accounts for a femur that can withstand 4,000 newtons of force. Is that a lot? It would crush most species' legs into powder, Dr. K. Ellis said cheerfully. Erin processed this. Neat. I watched the displays continue filling with information that made my shell darken. Skeletal composition, calcium phosphate, hydroxyapatite, comparable to manufactured ceramic composites used in military armor. Muscle structure, type 2, fast twitch fibers, capable of generating explosive force, comparable to hydraulic systems. Cardiovascular system, 4-chambered heart with pressure regulation, allowing sustained exertion and rapid threat response. Nervous system processing speed, optimized for predator reflexes. Digestive system capable of neutralizing moderate toxins through enzymatic breakdown. Doctor, I said, and my mouth parts clicked rapidly. Are you seeing this? Oh yes, Dr. Kellis. Antennae quivered. Humans are fascinating from a xenobiological perspective. They're terrifying from a security perspective. Well, yes, I suppose they are rather robust. He pulled up a comparison chart. A human skeleton weighs approximately 15% of total body mass, but provides structural support equivalent to an exoskeleton, while maintaining flexibility. The Queller specialist chimed in, literally. And their healing capacity, the cellular analysis, shows regeneration rates that would be considered enhanced in most species. Enhanced, I repeated. Their bones remodel continuously, repairing microfractures and adapting to stress. If a bone breaks entirely, it can regenerate in 6 to 8 weeks. They regenerate. Most species with internal skeletons do, but humans are particularly efficient. Erin raised her hand. Can I ask a question? Of course, Dr. Kelly said. Is all of this normal-like? Do other species not have bones that do this? The Sorathi physician tilted their head. Most species have skeletal structures, but the density and resilience of human bones is unusual. Yours are optimized for both strength and mobility. Oh, Erin looked down at herself. I never really thought about it. They're just bones. Not just bones, the Queller specialist said. I have a crystalline matrix, and many species use cartilage or chitin or silicon-based frameworks. The scan completed, and Dr. Kellis compiled the results. The security scanners were absolutely correct. Human skeletal structure does match material specifications for military-grade structural components. I felt my tail tuck under my shell. So what do we do? Dr. Kellis looked confused. Nothing. This is simply how humans are built. But our protocols flag military-grade materials. Then your protocols need a species-specific exception. Humans have been traveling through hegemony space for 8 years. Commander Torvis appeared on the wall, display, Dr. Kellis, what's your assessment? The human is perfectly healthy and structurally normal for her species, and the weapons-grade skeletal composition. Accurate but not relevant to security concerns, sir. Humans evolved on a high-gravity world. Their bodies reflect those evolutionary pressures, so they're not dangerous. Dr. Kellis, antennae drooped slightly. Dangerous and threatening are different concepts, sir. This human eye. It's here for a mining consultation and has shown no hostile intent. Commander Torvis looked at Erin. Ma'am, have you ever used your skeleton as a weapon? Erin blinked. I mean, I've headbutted a stuck door. Once, does that count? Did it work? Yeah, the door opened. The commander made a sound that might have been a sigh. Doctor, can you provide guidelines for human physical capabilities we should be aware of? Certainly. Dr. Kellis pulled up a file. Humans can exert approximately their body weight in lifting force, run at speeds up to 10 meters per second. Their reaction time averages 250 milliseconds, and their grip strength can exceed 400 newtons. Those specifications were comparable to security enforcement units. They can also survive impacts that would be lethal to most species, withstand temperature extremes, and function on reduced oxygen, reduced water, and minimal nutrition for extended periods. They're biological tanks, I said. They're persistence predators, the Sorathi physician corrected, evolved to outlast prey through endurance. Erin raised her hand, just clarifying. I am not going to chase anybody. I am here to talk about drilling equipment. Noted, Commander Torvis said. Doctor, final assessment. Is this human cleared for station access? Absolutely, she's healthy, non-contagious, and poses no biological threat. Security assessment Kyrix. I realized the actual question was simple. Had Erin done anything wrong? No hostile actions, no prohibited items, no protocol violations, I said. She's been completely cooperative. Then clear her throw. And add a human-specific exception to the database. Commander Torvis looked at me through the screen, and someone write a memo asking why this wasn't already documented. The channel closed. Dr. Kellis helped Erin down from the platform. You're all set. Thank you for your patience. No problem, that was interesting. Erin adjusted her jacket. Learned a lot about my skeleton today. You have an excellent skeleton, very well maintained. Thanks. I drink a lot of milk. We walked back toward the checkpoint, and I noticed things I hadn't before: the way Erin moved with casual efficiency, how her eyes tracked movement automatically. The fact that she navigated the crowded concourse without breaking stride. She wasn't trying to be threatening, she was just being human. We reached checkpoint Gamma 7 and Araxis looked up resolved. Cleared for travel, I confirmed. Species-typical skeletal composition, not a security concern. Good. Araxis made a note in the system. "Ma'am, you're approved for station access. Welcome to Terminus 9. "Thanks," Erin grinned. "Sorry for the excitement. Not your fault, our scanners are very literal." Erin headed toward the main concourse, then paused. "Hey, just curious how many other species have skeletons that do the weapons-grade thing." "Just humans," I said. "Really? Really?" "Huh," she considered this. "That's kind of cool. Makes me feel tough." She walked away whistling and disappeared into the crowd. Araxis and I watched her go. "So," Araxis said, "humans." "Humans," I agreed. "Made of weapons but friendly." "Very friendly." "Evolution is weird." "Evolution is terrifying," I corrected. My shell slowly faded back to orange, and my mouthpart stopped clicking. The station continued. Normal operations around us. Miners and traders and crew members passing through security. Routine work on a frontier station. Except now, I knew that humans walked around with skeletons classified as military hardware. I pulled up the security network and started drafting a memo. Subject: Species-specific scanner exception request. Human skeletal composition. Message: Human bones, match specifications. For grade 7, military structural reinforcement. This is normal for humans. Request database update to prevent future alerts. I paused, then added, "Humans are very cooperative, but their skeletons are alarming. Please advise." Araxis read over my shoulder. "You can't send that." "Why not?" "You'll start a panic." Good, they should know. She was probably right, but I sent it anyway. 3 hours later, I got a response. Message received. Human specifications documented in Xenobiology database section 7 subsection 12 paragraph 47. Scanner exceptions should have been implemented during station setup. Thank you for bringing this to attention. I showed Araxis. Paragraph 47, she said. Nobody reads paragraph 47. I will from now on. Erin sent me a message that evening, thanking me for the professional service and mentioning her meeting went well. Kerrigan Mining would be expanding operations, which meant more humans coming through Terminus 9, humans with weapons-grade skeletons and friendly smiles, and complete obliviousness to how structurally alarming they were. I updated the database, added the exceptions and wrote a training memo. Then I went to the station's recreational facility where colleagues were discussing the day. "Heard you had an incident with a human," a VRIN officer said. "Scanner sensitivity resolved now. Humans are weird. Humans are made of military-grade materials and don't even know it," I said. Read paragraph 47. Later in my quarters, I read through human xenobiology files I'd been ignoring for 6 cycles. Humans could survive significant falls, go weeks without food, regulate temperature across 40-degree ranges, fight off lethal infections, and regenerate broken bones in weeks. They were rescue workers, engineers, teachers, artists, miners, and every single one of them was structurally classified as a potential weapon. I thought about Erin cheerfully discussing drilling equipment, completely unaware that 4 scanners had simultaneously flagged her as a security threat. The galaxy was full of species, crystalline and gaseous, reptilian and insectoid, silicon-based and energy-based, each one strange and wonderful in their own way. And then there were humans, soft-skinned, friendly, cooperative, built like biological tanks. I made a note in my personal log for future reference. Humans, structurally alarming, behaviorally delightful, do not panic. When scanners flag skeleton, they cannot help being made of weapons. They evolved that way. The next morning I returned to checkpoint Gamma 7 and started my shift. A human walked through the scanner. The system flagged their skeleton. I pressed the species exception override and waved them through with a professional nod. They smiled and thanked me and continued into the station completely unaware. Just another day at Terminus 9. Where I had learned that the most dangerous thing in the galaxy might also be the friendliest. And that somewhere in the hegemony security database paragraph 47 was having the last laugh.